Okay, so we're nearly ready to start. We did say that we were going to start at the top of the hour, which is 7 o'clock GMT, which is 2 p.m. EST and 11 a.m. PST. So we've got a couple of minutes, not even, before we start. So we just really wanted to hop on a little bit early just to say hello to everybody. We are really excited to be doing this because this is our first one, isn't it?
It is.
We have never done this before. We've done a lot of videos. Lisa has done loads of our floral tutorial videos with one of our other tutors, Dee. You've been in the trend report last year as well, but we've never done it live. So we thought we'd do something different, and we are very excited to bring this to you because, it's a little bit more raw. It's not quite as scripted as some of our other videos. So I think we're almost there, aren't we, Lisa?
Good to go.
All right, okay. Well, welcome to all of you to our very first online video tutorial. This is all about designing tablescapes as a wedding stylist, and I am very lucky to have Lisa here with me today. Lisa lives in France and she is a floral designer. She's been doing weddings for countless years. She has got an amazing amount of experience, and I don't even want to know how many weddings you've got under your belt now.
Far too many.
Fair few, isn't it? So Lisa has a hell of a lot of experience, and I said to Lisa, I gave her very little direction. And I literally just said to her, I would like to do something shimmer and shine with a bit of a Christmas twist, and that was it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she creates. But before we get to that, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea as to what it is that we're doing. So you may or may not be aware, but the Academy of Wedding and Event Planning publishes the International Wedding Trend Report. And it comes out in January every year. And it's something that we love doing, and it's grown and grown and grown, and it's almost got bigger than Ben-Hur now. And we literally collaborate with over 100 wedding professionals around the world. This year, I say this year, it's the 2019 report that launches January 4th. We've got Colin Cowie and Mindy Weiss as our two pros who are weighing in with their expertise and what they're seeing in trends. The reason I'm telling you this is because today's tutorial is based around one of the trends that we're predicting is going to be big in 2019. And it's called Shimmer and Shine. And I love it because it's taking us away from those sequin tablecloths. You remember the ones that were spread all the way across the table, and they had their moment, but they're not anymore, are they?
No, they're a little bit
yes.
gone now.
So we're not talking about rose gold anymore. We're not talking about copper. We're not even talking about gold. We're talking about silver, chrome, brushed silver.
Beautiful.
So it's a bit more understated, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit more understated. Even a little bit more modern,
Definitely.
sort of cleaner lines, sort of stepping away from the more rustic, natural looking designs into something a little bit more modern, which is quite exciting.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's
really
here
lovely. In
lovely.
France we get a lot of rustic, don't we?
Yes.
So it is, as Lisa said, it's much more chic, it's much more modern, there's a lot more clean lines, definitely elegant.
Lots of elegance.
And we've decided to go with a colour scheme that's very basic. We aren't basically using any bright colours at all. We've gone with white, silver, and
touch of cream.
Yeah. With Lisa's design, there's a touch of cream. But we're going to show you two different looks because obviously with design, people have a budget, generally speaking.
Yeah.
You're not always lucky enough to decide your concept like you do with styled shoots. With a client, they have a design in mind and they have a budget. They don't always have a very clear design in mind and they don't always really understand their budget, but they do have one. So sometimes the smart move is to go with non-floral decor for your centerpiece. So I'm going to show you a really, really simple non-floral decor design, and Lisa's going to show you a beautiful, beautiful floral design that really elevates the look of what we're doing. So we've gone with, as I say, a very, not bland colour scheme, but it's given us a basis to start from. So with Shimmer and Shine, it's a little bit difficult to implement too many colours within it because otherwise it takes away from the actual
Shimmer and Shine, yes. It needs to be the star of the show, really, doesn't it? Yeah.
And this is something that we always concentrate on. When you're putting together a design of any description, you've got to think about what your colour palette is going to be before you can do anything else. So the smart thing to do is to create an inspiration board. and start pulling your images from all over the place. And I'm sure you do this with your designs
Absolutely,
as
yeah.
well.
There's always a starting point, isn't there?
Yeah.
And whatever, you know, then everything radiates from this. So it's just taking
Absolutely.
inspiration from anywhere, random places, but greeting cards, or, you know, a swatch of wallpaper. All these places you can get inspiration to create the design.
And sometimes,
design,
as Lisa said,
look.
it's not in the industry itself,
No,
is it?
no, absolutely not. You know.
Which can sometimes be better.
Yes, more
So
refreshing, more
exactly.
newer. Yeah.
But with your colour is going to dictate where you go. Your colour is going to dictate your linens. Your colour is going to dictate your chairs. It's going to dictate the type of glassware that you use. So you can't really go too far until you've decided your colour palette. And as we said, for this particular design, for Shimmer and Shine, it's modern, it is chic. So therefore, we've gone down this road of white and silver. That is our colour scheme. So before we go any further, we kind of need to see what's going to happen with the floral design, because I can't really do much with the table until we've got our florals. Lisa, are you ready to go and get your stuff?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited to get cracking.
All right, give us 2 seconds and we'll have everything here for you. So Lisa, when we talked about this, I didn't really give you a lot of guidance, did I?
No, we had Shimmer and Shine.
Shimmer and Shine, Sparkle, Christmas, and Modern, I think was what I said.
Yeah.
So essentially I've left Lisa to do her own thing, because that's always the way to do it. I'm not a floral designer. I just look at flowers and they wither and die. This is Lisa's forte, shall we say. So Lisa, over to you. What are you going to do?
Well, I thought I'd keep it to something nice and low, something quite elegant, something understated, yet with a little bit of a wow factor.
Good.
Yeah, some gorgeous orchids and some of this beautiful silver eucalyptus, and just create a really nice, elegant centrepiece.
So it's going to be long and low.
It's going to be long and low.
Yeah,
yes,
perfect.
Because, you know, we've got this gorgeous long table, and it's nice to make the most of the length. Yeah.
And we don't always have that, do we? Because obviously for us, with this design, we're lucky because we've been able to choose what we want to do. We've chosen the style of table, we're choosing the style of chairs. You don't always have that luxury, obviously, when you're working for a client, but we're deciding our own brief
what
here,
we're going
which
to do.
Really is kind of the beauty, isn't it, of doing something like this? And it would be the same with a styled shoot as well. So Lisa, talk us through the flowers that you've got.
Well, we have some absolutely stunning Phalaenopsis orchids. These are really beautiful and really classic and very weddingy. Yeah, I adore these. I love the shape, the length of them. Yeah, they are really
They're
pretty.
quite elegant, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They're beautiful on their own. They're stunning mixed with other flowers. But I think these are going to be quite popular coming into 2019. Yeah. And I've also got some beautiful white roses.
So this is going to really show off our tablescape.
Yes.
Perfectly, isn't it? Because for us, as you know, as we talked about earlier, we are working with white, silver, and little bits of sort of grey silver. So there is plenty of room for some pops of colour in here. And the pop of colour here really is going to be the roses, isn't it? Because it's not your standard white.
No, it's a little bit off-white, nice creamy colour, which will go really beautifully with the set against the white cloth.
Which will look good. And of course we've got the eucalyptus that's already come sprayed or painted.
Very kindly painted for us, which is really nice. It doesn't come off, which is always a bonus.
Keeps your hands nice and clean.
Yes. So that should look really nice against the white cloth as well.
It's certainly going to pack a punch, isn't it?
All right. So.
And we've got some baubles here as well.
Yes, well, these are just like standard Christmas baubles, but I just thought they might be quite nice with a flower in them to add into our table design.
So we can potentially put those on top of the plates?
Yes, we could.
As we said, with any type of trend, it's not about taking it literally. It's about being able to take small elements of it and integrate it into your design without it necessarily taking over. So transcending trends into your actual design. There is a bit of an art to it, but a lot of it is about trial and error. It's about allowing yourself to play with
yes,
things.
Definitely. Absolutely, because, you know, it's all well and good planning and planning down to the last final detail, but that sort of takes creativity away from it.
It does a bit,
yeah,
doesn't it?
And it makes it quite structured and strict, and I like to just let a bit of free flow.
Go for it.
Let the
I'm excited. I want to
flow.
see what you're going to come up with.
Yeah, me too.
So you're going to talk us through this design as you go.
Yes.
All right.
So, like I said, we've got this gorgeous part which has, is slightly elongated to start off with, and I thought we'd take some orchids one way and some of the eucalyptus another. It's really nice because obviously we've got the length of the table, so it allows us to play a little. It's less restrictive than having a rounded table. So,
and is there any rhyme or reason to how you're putting these in?
The main key rules of floristry are balance, proportion. So I'm bearing that in mind when I'm going to do this arrangement.
Well, that's similar to table design at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm going to always to cut these at a point because orchids particularly like lots of water. So I am going to put them in the foam, but I'm going to really top up the water.
And you've soaked that foam already, haven't you?
In water, and then I will put more water into the container afterwards, and I'm going to give the orchid the best chance of taking that up with a diagonal cut on the flower. So,
and this centrepiece that Lisa is creating is what we call a low and long centrepiece.
Yes.
And we are going to show you a non-floral centrepiece that is tall. And one of the questions that I know has come in from some of you guys when you've emailed me about your questions with regards to tablescape design. Some of you have been asking about what the rule of thumb is with regards to the height of centerpieces. And that's a really, really good question.
Yes, it is.
There's an easy trick to it. One of them I learned really quickly because I'm not particularly good at measuring things and necessarily knowing what that measurement is. If you put your elbow onto the table like this, it really shouldn't come above that if you're going for a lower centerpiece, or it should go quite a bit above that. So essentially you're either looking for 30 inches above or no more than 12 inches roughly, because you don't want to block the view.
No, that's really important.
It is really important, because when people come to sit down at a table, they don't want to be looking at a vase. Unless of course it's see-through, then that's okay, they can see right through it. So you either want to go with a long and low like we've got now, or you go for one that is really tall that you can either see around or see through. So that's pretty much your rule of thumb there.
Absolutely. That's probably the most requested thing when I speak to a bride. I don't want the arrangement to block the view.
Yeah.
So you either go low or you go high.
Exactly. You never go in between because it will absolutely block the
Dominate
view.
and block the view.
It will. And there's nothing more annoying than trying to talk to somebody and essentially not being able to see them.
Looking
you're bobbing.
around.
It's not fun. Nobody wants to do it. See, this is already looking nice.
Okay, so we've got our length with our gorgeous orchids. So I'm going to fill in the centrepiece now. And I'm going to keep this quite low as well. We're not going to sort of turn it into a triangular design by getting some height. I'm going to group all these roses into the centre, and then we're going to mix some of this and bring some of the eucalyptus out. And again, we're cutting on a diagonal with these. I'm basically just going to fill in this central part so that you can't see the oasis.
And I guess that's the key, isn't it? You don't really want to see the oasis,
the mechanics or any of the mechanics that you use for creating a floral design. It's never good to see them.
So a floral design like this, would this be something that you would do off-site and then bring onto site pre-prepared, or would you do it on-site?
This might be quite tricky to transport. So maybe I might make this central part at home or at the workshop and then stick the orchids in afterwards, because they are so delicate. They mark really, really easily.
They bruise, don't they?
Yeah, very easily.
Okay. So then you've got to allow yourself time if you're going to be creating anything on site.
Yes. Do you know what? Time is just the biggest thing, isn't it?
Big time.
It's always best to overestimate how much it's going to take you, because it will always take you longer. Always.
It always does. And, tips that we can give you, not just for centerpieces and floral design, but are for anything such as chair covers. I mean, we've used chair ruffles here, and you imagine doing 100 of those when you've not actually allowed the time for it, or you don't have the staff to be able to help you do it, and you've underestimated the amount of help that you're going to need. It can be the difference, really, can't it, between actually making it on time and not,
completely.
Essentially.
We've all had those moments, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
And then you learn from them, hopefully.
Well, that's the idea. Essentially, you're supposed to learn from them. But anything like this will take time. You have to always, as Lisa said, overestimate the time with anything to do with table design. Now, what you've got to remember here is that we do have the luxury of time whilst we're doing this design, because we're only doing one table. Yeah.
When you times that by 10 or 15
exactly.
or 20, then you know, time runs away with you.
It really does. And it's always better to have extra members of staff with you delegated to do those certain things. And when it comes to the setup of a design, it really does make a difference when you've got one person whose sole job is to do the chair ruffles, or to set the table mirrors on the table. And then potentially after that, they might go around and put all the candles on. But by having set jobs for people to do, it will make everything come together that much quicker.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I agree.
This is looking
it's coming along.
Nice.
I've just turned it round. Always remember when you're doing a design to sort of, you know, check all angles, check that that it's looking good from each area. I'm going to untangle myself there. And I'm just popping, as I'm going along, I'm just popping off a few of the orchid heads, because we're going to use those later on.
Now, as you can see, we said to you that we were going to take Shimmer and Shine, which, as we mentioned, is one of the trends that we're predicting for 2019, and we're giving it a little bit of a Christmas twist. Now, Christmas doesn't have to be all about tinsel and baubles.
No.
Yes, we've got some baubles here, but as Lisa said, what she's doing is something quite different. And if you look at these baubles, they're matte. They aren't all shiny and sparkly, so they're not going to take over or detract from the centerpiece that Lisa's created. And one thing that I'm always really, really hot on when I'm designing is you can't have more than 1 or 2 stars of the show. For me,
I agree.
When I'm creating, I think of a table as almost like I am doing a movie. You think of a movie, you have a leading lady and a leading man at the most. Sometimes it's just one, it's not both. And then you've got all of the supporting actors around it. And your table is exactly the same. So your glassware, your chargers, your plates, your flatware, they are your supporting actors. For us, with this particular design, the star of our show is going to be this floral centerpiece. So you always need to bear in mind and make up your mind from the beginning who is going to be your supporting, your star of the show, either your leading lady, leading man. And it is possible to have 2 stars of the show, but much more than that, it becomes muddled. And similar to a movie, with your story, your design of a table, you're telling a story. So it's got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Have we gone 12 minutes?
You're telling a story that finished on 12.
Right.
Okay,
So
gosh.
It's fine.
It's still recording, but it just puts it into another file, so you just need to...
Start again. Where shall I start from?
You finished telling the story, and I think it just...
Right, let me just have a little look what I'm doing. Can't see it.
No, that's fine. This is fine because I'm saying a lot of what I would have been saying stood at the table.
Okay.
I'm saying whilst you're doing this, because there's only so much you can tell them, isn't there?
Yeah,
as you're
absolutely,
doing
as
this.
I'm doing it.
So I just figured we'll let Lisa just do what she's doing, and then I'll pick it up again. What do I do with my glass? Oh, there it is.
I'll do that thing. One of the best things.
I'll announce to Dan in a minute when we're ready to start as well, just to make it really obvious. I really like the silver with those colours.
Yeah, it works, doesn't it? I want to turn them. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. We're not rolling. So, well, we are, but we're not. Okay, so we're nearly ready to start. We did say that we were going to start at the top of the hour, which is 7 o'clock GMT, which is 2 p.m. EST and 11 a.m. PST. So we've got a couple of minutes, not even, before we start. So we just really wanted to hop on a little bit early just to say hello to everybody. We are really excited to be doing this because this is our first one, isn't it?
It is.
We have never done this before. We've done a lot of videos. Lisa has done loads of our floral tutorial videos with one of our other tutors, Dee. You've been in the trend report last year as well, but we've never done it live. So we thought we'd do something different, and we are very excited to bring this to you because, yeah, it's a little bit raw. It's not quite as scripted as some of our other videos. So
with the silver between, and I think we're almost done.
And this really hasn't taken you long to do at all, has it?
No, it's quite a simple design. You know, there's not actually a lot of materials in there. We've used 10 roses and 6 stems of orchids. So no, it's not a design that's going to take a long time to do.
And budget-wise, what sort of budget would a design like this fall into?
I would think you are looking about £45–50.
Okay. So again, this is something that you've really got to bear in mind. Are orchids expensive?
Yes, well, they're not too bad. To be honest, I've used plants for these orchids. So if you get, if you're going to buy Phalaenopsis orchids, plants are always an excellent way of keeping the cost down. So they are expensive, but then they're worth it.
Well, it's the look that we're going for at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yes.
It's sort of more of a luxurious take on the shimmer and shine.
Absolutely.
And we are going to show you another non-floral option, which is sort of much more budget friendly. Now, another question that a few people have emailed in and asked me is about seasonality of flowers.
Yes.
And how that affects your design, and what do you do if a client comes to you and wants flowers that are out of season? It's going to completely blow their budget. You must have come across this.
I come across this at least 10 times, 15 times every year. Do you know what? I'm just really honest with them.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Obviously, with experience, you'll come to realise what's in season and what's out of season. But I will quote, the actual price of something. For instance, hydrangeas. I would have loved hydrangeas for this design this time, but they're really, really expensive. So, I've gone for a different flower.
Yeah.
I always give it I've always got a clause actually in my contract that gives me the flexibility to choose another flower of similar style and similar look.
Right, that's quite an important point.
Yeah, it's a massively important point.
Is this something you've done sort of as you've learned?
Yes, yes, you may say that. But no, I'd just be as honest as I possibly can and say, look, this flower is really in demand at this time, or it's out of season, but we can get it, but you're going to pay for it.
And as far as seasonality is concerned, then, are there places for people that don't know and don't have that experience yet? Are there places they can go to find out when things are in season?
There are some excellent websites online. I mean, in the UK, I know there's a couple of floristry-based websites. I can't remember off the top of my head. That you can get this information from. If you just Google seasonal flowers that are available, seasonal flowers, UK, or because obviously it's different in Australia than it is to Asia. So there are plenty of websites out there we can find the information.
And so it's a matter of doing your research, isn't
absolutely.
it? And being informed, because as a planner, stylist or designer, that really is part of your job to know that and advise your clients.
Definitely.
Because what you've got to remember as well, when clients are looking at a gorgeous design, 9 times out of 10, they've been looking on Pinterest.
And they're looking at a gorgeous spring design.
Exactly.
Ranunculus. I love ranunculus. I need ranunculus. But you're getting married in August and ranunculus aren't in season.
Yeah.
So then it's a case of trying to give them another option, of advising them and educating your clients, because they don't know. It's the first time maybe that they've spent this much on flowers. And
there's no reason really why they should know either.
No,
so
it's your job. So yes, I'm coming to the end of this
now. This is looking lovely.
Yes. And like I say, we've got these little balls which will be filled with orchids for the table as well.
Which will look stunning. So, with our actual table design, we have opted to really keep it quite simple and go with a lot of glass within what we're using. So in a minute, I'm going to show you the charger plates. We're using beaded charger plates. So again, it's quite subtle because the charger plates, the beads are silver, but the charger itself is glass. And then I've got a beaded glass plate for the main plate, and then a silver plate on top of that for the side plate. And one thing to remember with design is it's about texture. So when you're designing anything, you're always considering the five senses. And I think you'd probably agree with that.
Yes,
the five senses
completely.
are a huge part of it. And if you've got something with lots of texture that's going to make people want to touch things, again, it's all about that holistic design. It makes them feel like they're part of something. It draws them in. And their place setting, it's their own little story.
Yeah,
and that's always the way I like to look at it. I want to sit down and at the end of a design, when I finish designing a table, I will always sit down at the table in front of that place setting and try to imagine myself in the guest's
sitting down
shoes.
at it for the first time.
I like to walk away so that I get that immediate image that they're going to have in their mind when they walk into the room for the first time. Then I like to stop about halfway, then I like to stop in front, and then I like to sit down. So I want to take myself through the exact experience that my guest is going to have, because it's only at that point that you realise whether or not the table setting is telling the right story, the table is telling the right story. And I think probably one of the biggest tips I can give you as a new designer or stylist is less is always more. Always. And don't be afraid to remove things from your table. If you stand back and you look at it,
it doesn't feel right, it's not
quite gelling, something's not quite right. Don't feel like you have to use everything just because it's there, because you don't. Less is always more.
Yeah, I completely agree. I have that sometimes with flowers. I bought something.
Do you take things out
sometimes?
And
I think, I'm not going to use that. I've bought it, but it's not right. It doesn't work with what I'm doing. So
you've got to be led by that, don't you?
Be brave and trust your own judgment.
Have you ever had a client pull you on anything like that, where they've specifically asked for certain things and it hasn't looked right in the design?
Yes.
And you've then had to work with them on that?
Yes, I always... throw my diva strap and say it's creative differences. It's my, my creative license, and generally that people would be happy with that because I'm only joking really, but
no, you're not.
but people will trust your judgment. Yeah. Most people,
Well, you're the expert.
Yes. Yeah.
Generally speaking, you don't sit with your accountant or your lawyer and start arguing with them. So this is the finished article, Lisa. Do you want to do the honours and transfer onto the table? Okay. Oh, it's already looking beautiful.
Yeah. And I love the use of the mirrors because it just throws up another dimension to it. All the underneath of the orchids, you can see them through the mirror, and it just adds that extra dimension to it.
Table mirrors are brilliant for doing that. They are relatively inexpensive, and they're a great way to add wow factor to your design. All right, so now you can see just how gorgeous this looks. And as Lisa said, the mirrors, the table mirrors, are just literally picking it up and almost making it double, aren't they? They're kind of elevating it.
More.
They certainly are. And in a minute, we're going to put the rest of the stuff on the table so you can start to see how this story is going to develop. But first of all, I want to just very briefly touch on tables and chairs. So I told you just now that the colour palette is obviously your first stop. Until you've got your colours decided, you can't really go too much further. So we now know what our colours are. So the next thing, when I'm designing a table, I like to do what we call designing from the bottom upwards. So the very first piece of your puzzle has to be your table. Now, in some venues, you're not going to have a choice as to what table you use because you're going to have to go with whatever is in that venue. And that could be a round, it could be a rectangular table, it could be long trestles. Yeah. The options really are quite endless. If you've got a client that has the budget to spend on tables.
Hiring them in or choosing whichever they want.
Exactly, and my ultimate favourite is to do kind of a combination of both. So you've got a few rounds and you've got a few rectangles and it looks really good. This case, we decided, because of the design that we were doing, we wanted to go with a rectangular table. It's our choice because this is something we're doing for you guys and not for a client. So once you've decided on your table, the next choice is linen or no linen. Now, some tables are beautiful, aren't they? They've got really lovely legs and you want to show it all off. Yeah, exactly, especially those really natural wooden tables. they can look stunning. But if you're using a banquet round,
no, they're definitely
they're
cost
ugly.
required.
They've got horrible legs, and the tables
Ugly
usually, they need table toppers on them. So you're going to want to cover them. So that's going to be your next choice. And then, of course, once you're talking about tablecloths, is it going to be white? Is it going to be coloured? Are you going to have runners on it? Are you going to have an overlay on it? Again, the options are endless, but this is all part of your design process. Now, for the style that Lisa and I were wanting to go for, we wanted something very, very plain, because as I mentioned just now, you can only have one or two styles of the show. Not everything can be the star of the show. And for me, in this particular design, Lisa's florals are the star of the show. The other star of the show is my chairs. I've opted to use chairs that aren't standard banqueting chairs, and I've decided to soften them. So these chairs here, as you can see, are just white wooden chairs with very little going on. They're quite chic, they're quite modern in style, but they're also quite plain. So to dress them up and keep them within the style, I have decided to use this chair ruffle, and to give it a nod towards our shimmer and shine, we've got a little
I love the butterflies. It really just looks so beautiful.
And again, it's not taking over, but it's just really subtle hint of shimmer and shine.
Love it.
So for me, my two stars of the show are my chairs and my florals. And rather than having a runner or an overlay, we have gone with the mirrored table, what are they called? Mirrored tables.
Table mats.
Yeah, table squares, table mats.
Table mats.
They're actually quite cheap and they're really effective. Yes. So as a stylist, if you want to buy them in,
always
you'll use
handy
them over
to
and
have.
over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really. I think I had, when I was styling, I think I had about 40 odd of them, and I used them all the time. And of course, once you've paid for them in one or two events, they're then an upsell.
Completely.
Because you're hiring from your own items.
They just change design, don't they?
Exactly, and it really lifts the entire design. All right, so now you know we've got our chairs, we've got our table, we've got our beautiful florals, and we've got our mirrored tiles. And of course, the mirrored tiles also work in with the theme.
Yes,
the
of course.
shimmer and shine.
Yeah,
it's a more
classic,
subtle way.
Clean, modern look.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next thing we want to think about are what we're actually going to put on the table. And remember what I said, these are our supporting actors. We don't want these to detract from the other two things we've got going on here. They need to complement
Enhance.
They do,
yes.
Enhance and complement. So let me show you what we've got in mind for this. Okay, Lisa, I'm going to get you to just grab that. So we've got, as I mentioned earlier, our glass charger plate, and these beads here are silver.
Beautiful.
So it's subtle, but it's giving a hint again to the shimmer and shine. Now, as I mentioned before, I want texture. So for the dinner plate, I've just gone with exactly the same style, so it's beaded again, but there's nothing on it this time. So that sitting on there immediately gives us some texture. Now, to give us a bit of colour, and again keep in with the shimmer and shine, I've gone with a very basic but quite nice silver side plate, which when sat on top really gives you quite a nice look. So that is what we're going to be putting onto the table. Again, it's not detracting from our two stars of the show, it's enhancing it, it's complementing the design. And as you get to see some of the close-ups of the table, you'll see what I mean. So should we shove these on the table now?
Yes, I think we should.
And you guys can start to see exactly what's happening and how it's starting to come together. So, one thing to remember, with chairs, you never want to tuck the chairs in when you've got a tablecloth that is coming down like this, because you'll immediately dent the look of the table. So something to bear in mind, when you're designing, and if you're tight on space, you need to remember that you're going to have enough room, because these chairs aren't going to be tucked under the table. So that means you immediately lose this much space. And you've always got to remember, you've got to leave room for the servers and the waiters who are coming through to serve the food. So always remember that when you've got a floor-length tablecloth, you've got to allow a lot more room for the chairs and the chairs to be pushed back than what you would do if you were using a bare table and you could push the chairs underneath. So just a bit of a styling tip there. We need one of these, don't we? So these are, here's one we've prepared here. Lisa's little design here. I'm going to let you decide where you want to put those. There we go. And this charger belongs under here. So you can already start to see it starting to come together. There's a story that's happening here. Now, before we move on to putting the flatware on, and flatware is your knives, forks, spoons, etc., I think there's still something a little bit missing on the table here, because it kind of stops here and there's nothing going on here. But I don't think we want anything that's too high, because we've gone with
a low design. I think if we've got some low candle, maybe so candle holders or perfect.
Holders. Okay, and let's just see how that changes the design. So, as we start to add these in here, it just extends the design along, so that you're not just looking at the plain mirror, it continues the story.
Yeah, that works really well.
Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we do the same the other side. I'm a symmetry person.
Yeah, me too.
I don't like it when things are off. All right. So as you can see, the nice thing about this is it's pulling from this design here. It's not detracting, it's complementing, but it also works in with the actual design. And we've got a little nod towards Christmas without it being too obvious. So clearly we're missing a few things. We're missing flatware. Now flatware, Lisa knows, I have a drawer full of it. I'm kind of have a bit of an obsession.
Just a little one.
With flatware. And honestly, it comes in so many shapes and sizes now. But I don't want it to take over for this particular design. So because we've got the matte of the baubles, I like the idea of having matte silverware. So luckily I have some matte silverware, so that's what we're going to use. And as we start to add this on, you're going to start to see things really come to life now. So there we go. I'm going to put that there. And it's starting to tell a story.
That's really coming together.
To look like a table should. Now, I know that some of the questions that I've had from you as well is, how do you know when it's too much and how do you know when to pull back? Well, for me, I don't know that until the table is finished. I don't hold back when I'm designing the table and I'm putting everything on there. I wait until it's finished. Yeah. Do you do the same?
Yeah.
And then move
Step away and look again.
Instantly you can see, can't you, when something's too much.
You're not stood on top of it and you can walk away.
You're the same, aren't you, with your floral design? Yeah. It doesn't look the same when you're stood right on top of it. So don't be afraid about putting stuff onto the table.
You can always take it away.
And take it away afterwards. So clearly we're missing something here. Glassware.
Glassware, yes.
Now again, glassware, there is so many different styles and shapes and what have you. And I particularly love these glasses because again, we've just got that little hint of silver going along the top of them. But as you know, you can get all sorts of different glassware, all sorts of different colours. But we don't want it to detract from the chairs.
These are
and
beautiful.
From the centrepiece. They are gorgeous.
Love them.
They're very delicate.
Yeah.
So we're going for something quite plain and simple, but just with that little hint of silver. So now, suddenly, we've nearly finished and got a complete table.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I think this one is now finished. Now, one thing I will say to you is this particular table here, the tablecloth, is a little bit creased. And I did iron it, as you would always do before a styled shoot or anything like that. But it's something to bear in mind. If you're hiring in linens and you're hiring in napkins, etc., you want to make sure that you've gone through all of them prior to arriving on site, because you would not have wanted to have arrived on site with this tablecloth. No. Because it was creased.
Spent 10 minutes, 15 minutes each ironing.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is always something to remember. All these little things are the things that take time. The glassware, if you've hired them in, sometimes they have stickers on the bottom. And you've got to unpack them all. And you've got to take the stickers off. So again, these are all really time-consuming things that need
to be done beforehand.
Prep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously, this is look number one, and we have finished the whole of this look. And it really, for me, I love this because I think it's the cream of the roses that really just pulls it all together and makes it different. But as we said, not everybody can afford to have a floral design like this. People do have a lower budget, and not only that, we also wanted to showcase something that was completely different. So having gone from the long and low to going to something that is high.
Yes, a bit of height.
Yeah, so we're going to give it height, we're going to change it up, and immediately you're going to see, just with a few simple changes, how this is going to go from something that I would say this is very classic and elegant. It's going to go a little bit more shimmer and shine, a bit more Christmas, and really just by changing a few elements you can see the difference. So I'm going to move these chairs out of the way because you've seen them now, just so that you can see a bit more of the table. And Lisa, do you want to remove the beautiful centerpiece? I will remove these baubles from here. And so the changes we're going to make are fairly simple. The first one is going to be a very easy to recreate high centerpiece. And it's really, really simple. It has to be because I made it, and this is not my forte. And this again is a shimmer and shine, and all we're looking at here is in keeping with the glass. I've gone with a glass vase. It's very big, it's very tall, it's got this cylinder base, which again just gives it a little bit of difference. And all I've done is I've filled it with, it's not tinsel, I don't really know what it's called, it's just strands.
Strands of silver. It's beautiful.
And filled it with baubles that are more matte than shiny, but there are a few shiny ones in there as well. So that is really all this is. It's very, very simple, but it's going to give our table some height. And of course, again, because it is sat on these table mirrors, it immediately starts reflecting, giving off this really quite nice vibe. But if you look at it like this, it's not quite working. No.
It looks very lonely.
It does. There's a few things missing. So we have the answer to that as well. We are sticking with our tall design, and we are putting on tall candles. So again, we've started to bring the design out. I'll leave you to see whether or not that is actually
looks okay.
Straight. Okay. Now again, I'm still not quite finished because it's not quite there for me. On the last design, we had baubles on our plate. This time, I really want to bring some sparkle to what we're doing. And this is what we're using. Now, this is, again, something quite simple. It's part of Christmas decorations, but when you pull it apart and you put this here and you bend it, and you can stick it underneath the plate, suddenly it looks really good when you put it. So underneath the plate, just like that, to one side, suddenly gives the plate a whole different look. You put it back on, and it's really quite stunning. Now you can see that this is starting to talk to that. So it's starting to pull the design in. Are you do you want me to grab one? And I'll do one over here.
So sparkly and gorgeous.
It is very sparkly, but as you can see, it is completely different from the previous design. You know, we've suddenly lifted it and giving it a lot more shimmer and shine. Now I'm not done yet, and I want to just add a little bit more to our, I'm going to give you that bit there, Lisa. Add a little bit more to our table. This doesn't need to have any particular style to it, it just needs to be draped. But again, it's starting to pull in the rest of the sparkle, and already look at the difference on this table. It's completely different from that beautiful, elegant look that we had previously with the orchids and the roses. We have gone full on shimmer and shine.
Absolutely, it's gorgeous.
But only changing a
few key elements.
There's nothing major that we've changed here. Now again, I do like to use my votives because they just add.
And also on the mirror, it adds when the lit, it adds just that other dimension, doesn't it?
It does. When you light them, it always adds a little bit more, doesn't it? I'm going to put that one there and this one here. So again, there's just a few more things I want to put on. It's just, again, when I spoke earlier about texture, it's about just adding things that are a little bit different. And with a lot of my designs, I always like to add in something unexpected. And it doesn't necessarily have to be anything big, but again, that just gives you that little hint of Christmas. And it's a little bit more unexpected, and it's a different texture to everything else.
Absolutely, it works really well.
That's really all it is. And I don't think that I want to add anything else to that table. Now, obviously, we've moved the chairs, and you would normally have your 2 chairs there as well, with your little butterflies, which again, just pull everything in. But this is what you call shimmer and shine.
Definitely, it's beautiful. I love it.
For some people, I think it would probably be a little
bit over the
much,
top, but I think it works
we've
really
gone
well.
From one end of the spectrum, haven't we?
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
other. And this, it's so simple. You can recreate a design like this for a very low budget. It has given you height, so it is completely different. And it's not blocking views because we've done it so it's in the middle.
In the centre.
And here, as you're looking at the person across, there's no blocking going on. So you're absolutely fine as far as that is concerned. So there's one thing we haven't done yet, which I really think we ought to do.
Definitely.
Because it does, again, add another dimension. We need to light the candles, don't we?
I'll do that.
So whilst Lisa's lighting the candles, there's one more thing I want to show you, because as you've seen in this particular look, which is incredibly sparkly and Christmassy, we have just changed a few things that has completely and utterly changed the look from one that is very elegant and timeless to one that is very much shimmer and shine. Now, what I want to do now is, in a minute, I'm going to change just 3 elements, and you'll see how just those 3 elements being changed are going to give it another dimension yet again. So this time, at the moment, as we know, we've got literally white, silver and glass. That's all we have in this design. So what if I was to then put something underneath this glass charger here that was dark, that really gave it some depth? And then what if we change this matte silver flatware and change it for matte black? And then what if we change these silver candles to black candles? You will be amazed at the difference it will make to this design just by changing those 3 things. So for the ones of you that were talking earlier who have emailed me with regards to how do you change up a concept, how do you know what's enough and what's not enough, in all honesty, a lot of this is about allowing yourself to play. Would you say that, Lisa?
Yes, definitely.
It's about really giving yourself permission to just play around with things.
To see what works
exactly.
and what doesn't.
And if it doesn't...
And you won't know until you try it.
What's the big deal if it doesn't work?
Absolutely.
Seriously? It doesn't matter, because you don't know till you start putting stuff on the table. And sometimes you'll put things on, won't you? And you look at them and go, oh, what was I thinking? And we were earlier, before we started this live, we were talking about how sometimes you can order something. And recently I ordered a napkin for something and I wanted it in a specific blue. And on the computer, when I ordered it online, it looked like it was the right blue. It arrived and it was just ever so slightly off. Put it on the table, it's throughout the entire design.
And it's amazing how just something, slight different shade can just throw it completely.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this gorgeous shimmery and shiny tablescape and we're going to give it a bit of depth. But you're going to see by what we're doing, just these 3 subtle changes are going to make it completely different. So we're actually using, I really like these. I got these for it was like a forest tablescape.
Yeah, they are gorgeous. I love slate.
And this was like the natural element that I wanted to use. So what we're going to do is we are going to lift up our plate here and we are going to pop this underneath and put our plate on top. Now already you will start to see that something that simple has started to change the design, because we've given it depth. It is no longer just white, silver and glass. We've given it some depth. So already it's starting to look different. So the next thing we're going to do, as I mentioned earlier, is we are going to change the flatware. So we're going to go from matte silver to matte black. And this will again give it a different look. So I'll just very quickly do that.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I'll do it this side actually. And straight away,
It's made a massive change, that, hasn't it?
a huge difference to the entire design. So like I said, you've really just got to be okay with playing with things and seeing what elements really pack a punch and change things out. So the next thing I want to do is just literally, I'm just going to do that.
Oh, see.
Look,
You've got brains.
There you go.
Okay.
And all we're doing is taking that out and putting that in. Okay, so now we take a look at our design and all of a sudden,
Oh, wow.
it's
It's
got a
completely
completely
different.
look.
Yeah, it's
We haven't
amazing.
changed that much. We've changed 3 small elements, but we've given it a different feel. To me, it's just
Completely.
given it depth. It's taken away that light, shimmery, shiny feel and just given it a little bit more, I don't know, I can't even think what the word is, but it looks completely different. And I still like it.
Yeah, in a different way.
In a different way.
Yeah, completely.
Absolutely. So, as you can see, with design, it's about experimenting. It's about telling a story through your design. It's about conveying the vision that your client's got and turning it into something that packs a punch, gives them the wow factor, you know, allows a guest to walk in from over there and have that feeling of coming into its own little story. Because I know if I sat down at this table, I'd be blown away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd get lost and drawn into the actual beauty of the table, and that's what you're trying to do when you create a design. So, to recap, we have now shown you 3 designs within the same design. I think it's probably the easiest way to
fair to
describe
say,
it.
yeah.
So we've had our beautifully elegant and timeless floral design that Lisa has done for us. We've had our sparkly shimmer and shine, and then we've had our little bit of depth added to it to just give us a little bit of a different take on the shimmer and shine look. So that pretty much brings us to the end of our Tablescape design tutorial. So I really hope that you have learnt something, that you've enjoyed it, and you've had fun, because as you can see, we have great fun creating something like this. And it is wonderful when you get to create something without having a client breathing down your neck and being the one in creative control. So that's always fun for somebody like Lisa and I to get together and just create for the sake of creating.
Do what we like.
I did promise you that you guys would receive, for turning up live, a copy of my Tablescape guide, and you will. The actual URL to download it is now in the description of the video, so please feel free to click on it, and if you for some reason can't access it, you can email us info@weddingacademyglobal.com to receive your copy. But I do have something else for you as well. Obviously, from what you've seen here, this is something we do on a day-to-day basis. At the Academy, we teach people wedding styling, planning and design. And I do have a special offer for you. We have a Wedding Styling 101 course that allows you to not only do Tablescape design, but understand how to work with inspiration boards, how to work with colour, how to take a concept from a client and actually turn it into a vision, how to style a venue, and lots more. It's a full course that gives you all the material that you need in order to be able to become a wedding stylist. There is a self-study option, which we are reducing by 40% for those people that are watching the video here this evening, and you can actually enroll on that right now for £297, which means you can start studying to become a wedding stylist right now. You can use your Christmas break, start the new year and be ready to go. Or we have our Diploma in Wedding Planning, Styling and Design, which is a fully accredited Level 4 course, which gives you an actual qualification at the end of it. You also have access to our student Facebook group. You have your own mentor and tutor to help you through all of your assignments and your unit projects. And of course, you have lifetime access to the course material as well. And that has been reduced from £12.95 to £8.97. But these prices will only be available for the next 3 days, so it's not something that you can hang around on. if you'd like to come and join the Academy and learn from Lisa and learn from myself and all the other members of staff here at the Academy and the other experts that we collaborate with to bring you the course material, then you need to go to weddingacademyglobal.com/join. I think the URL should be popping up at some point. We've got our tech team behind the scenes working madly to try and help you do that. So it is weddingacademyglobal.com/join. And from Lisa and myself, we have had so much fun. As we are doing this live and we're not actually sat at a computer, we haven't been able to answer your questions by typing them in the chat box because this is much more of an interactive style of video. But if you do have any questions and you want to know more about the courses that I've just mentioned, or you have any questions for Lisa and I on what we've just produced and designed for you, then you can email us, as I say, at info@weddingacademyglobal.com. So really, I think that is it.
It covers it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Seems kind of a shame. I think we need to sit down and eat
maybe
our
a dinner. Definitely.
Yeah,
a little bit of wine.
Glass of red.
Yeah.
I think the red would look quite nice on this table. What do you think?
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. It's good night from me.
Yeah, good night. Thank you.
Thank you.